In today's video, we're gonna be taking a look at what is the best time to travel in Japan. Is it perhaps winter, where you have a lot of beautiful snow around, where you can go skiing and the weather is cold? Or is it perhaps in fall, where you have beautiful autumn colors, temperatures are still very mild. You also have a ton of people wanting to see the autumn colors. Or is it perhaps in spring, where the winter is finally over and you got beautiful sakura colors in pink and white covering the entire country? Or is it perhaps in summer, where you have a lot of different festivals and you have fireworks and you have beaches and you have nice weather all around? Or is it perhaps even in... sorry, might have gotten a little bit too far. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at what is the best season to travel in Japan. We're going to be taking a look at each season and each micro season. Yes, those exist. We're going to be taking a look at what is going on in each season. If it's worth visiting, we're going to be taking a look at the temperatures and just give general travel advice for each different season in Japan. If you're new to the channel, my name is Adam. I do a lot of different videos on Japan, about travel, about culture, about living in Japan, and basically my goal is just to make you better travel and live in Japan. So without further ado, let's jump right into season number one, which is going to be spring. Spring can be mostly broken up into three different kind of sub-seasons. You have early spring, which lasts from around maybe late February, early March, around mid-March and early April. There's not a lot of things going on in early spring. However, there is the plum blossom season, plum blossom is kind of the less popular friend of the sakura, the beautiful sakura blossoms, but they are still really beautiful. So you have a lot of different places in and around Tokyo that have beautiful plum blossoms blossoming from around late February to maybe mid-March. Some places like Sakuragaoka or Odawara Castle, they have some really interesting plum blossom festivals where you can try different plum products and also just sit underneath the beautiful plum blossom trees. Now on to mid-spring or peak spring, which is also known as sakura season, which lasts from around late March to maybe early April. This is probably one of the most popular and most busy travel periods of people coming into Japan, simply because you have the beautiful sakura trees blossoming in Kanto and also some other popular parts around Japan like Kyoto and Osaka. Now, the temperatures are relatively mild in this time. You will have maybe 15 to 20 degrees Celsius. But again, sakura attracts a lot of people. They are worth it, they're really beautiful, but you will have to kind of consider that people are not only traveling for the sakura themselves, they will also explore some other places while they are in the country, and that just causes a lot of crowds being everywhere. Now once sakura season is over in maybe mid-April, maybe late April if you're lucky, that's when the late spring starts coming in. Now late spring is characterized here by apparently very strong winds. Well, very strong. You just have strong winds every day. It's nothing too serious, but if you have like an umbrella, it might be blown away or something like that. Temperatures start getting higher. We are right now in this late spring season, and temperatures are sometimes reaching up to 30 degrees, but I would say mostly it's around 20 to 25 degrees. You will have much fewer crowds as the sakura crowds kind of start disappearing, except for one period, which is the Golden Week, which lasts from around late April, maybe like early May. This is the most busy national travel period where a lot of people have time off, so they will travel nationally. It might be very difficult to find hotels. It might be difficult to just go to different places because they will be full. So that's just something to consider. I would not recommend traveling in Golden Week if you can avoid it. If you cannot just plan early ahead, but if you can avoid it, maybe go 1 week after Golden Week. You will have still the very nice weather. It will be windy, but still very nice weather, but much fewer crowds. So summarizing spring, you have the early season, which is kind of plum blossom season. You have the peak season, which is cherry blossom season, and then also you have late spring, which is kind of a really nice season to travel. Would recommend. Now on to summer, which is my personal favorite season in Japan. Summer can also be kind of broken down into three different sub-seasons. Starting off, you have from early June or mid-June, early July to mid-July, you have Tsuyu, which is the rainy season in Japan. Now June is actually the only month that I've never been to in Japan. I cannot really say this from personal experience, but from what I heard, during the rainy season you will have rain almost every day. Not necessarily throughout the entire day, but there will be almost certainly one period throughout the day where it will just start raining, sometimes very heavily. So that's just something to prepare if you are planning a lot of outdoor activities when you're coming to Japan. Then that's just something to take care of. Maybe to an alternative that is inside, not go hiking or something, because yeah, you'll be caught in the rain oftentimes. Temperatures are much higher. Generally, from what I heard, it's around 25 to 30 degrees, but the rain does kind of make it feel a lot colder, especially when you're outside in the rain. You get wet. It's gonna be a lot colder. Now, almost immediately, as soon as the rainy season ends, that's when we get into peak summer, which is around from early July, mid-July to late August. This is characterized by very, very hot temperatures. So you have maybe 30 to 35 degrees or 35 to 40 degrees. You will have very high humidity. So humidity sometimes reaches 80, 90% on the peak day. So it will feel very hot. If you're used to 35, 40 degrees maybe in Europe, it will be very different because the humidity really adds to that kind of heat feeling. And if you're from a Northern European country or Canada, it just might feel like dying every day. However, this is personally my favorite period, not only because I kind of enjoy the humidity, because I'm weird like that, but also because you have the two Fs going on in this period, which is festivals and fireworks. Now, almost every weekend, and also oftentimes throughout the week, you will have some firework displays and also festivals going on in many local areas around Tokyo and also just around Japan. And fireworks in Japan are something different. It's really, really beautiful. So sometimes you have fireworks filling up the sky with beautiful colors for up to an hour even. It's just really beautiful and something that attracts a lot of crowds, obviously. But I would definitely recommend, if you're traveling in Japan or if you're thinking about going to Japan in summer, to not miss out on fireworks because they're really beautiful. The same with festivals. You have a lot of different festival games, you have food stalls. It's just a really nice, lively atmosphere that you kind of only really have in the summer. So I really enjoyed it. In summer you will have a lot of crowds, especially internationally, because it's kind of holiday period in Europe and in the US. We'll have a lot of crowds. The same with kind of nationally, Japanese schools are often in that period. And you also have the really busy Obon holiday, which is kind of like a golden week light, where a lot of people just have time off. So we'll have a lot of national travel as well. And then once August is over, you will have late summer, Zansho, which is apparently a word that nobody uses, but it's cool. So it's like the late summer period from around early September to maybe like early October. This is where the temperatures are still very high. Like it's still peak summer if you're used to like Central European weather, so it's maybe still gonna be like 30 degrees every day. You'll have kind of high humidity, but you'll have a lot less crowds, especially nationally, but also internationally, because kind of school year starts going on in September again. So yeah, it's a really nice period to travel. It was my first time that I came to Japan, was actually in September, and I really enjoyed it a lot because the temperatures are great, much fewer crowds, and just overall nice travel period. Summarizing, you have early summer to rainy season, you have peak summer, very hot, July and August, and then you have the late summer, September, which is really nice, moderate temperatures, but fewer crowds. Autumn is kind of broken down into two seasons, I would say. So you'll have from around late October, early November, you will have early fall. Early fall is still very temperate by European standard. It still reaches 20, 25 degrees every day. You'll have a lot of greenery going around, and it's also still very not busy travel period, just because school year starts, especially university as well. You will have fewer crowds, also a really good time. Visit Japan, it's just there's not that much going on. If you have summer, you have festivals and stuff, and yeah, there's just not a lot going on. But if you don't really care about that and you just want to do sightseeing and stuff, I would say October is a really good period to travel in Japan. From around early November to maybe early December, this is where one gets another huge input of tourists from outside of Japan, also nationally, because this is peak fall color season. Similar to Sakura, a lot of people are going to very popular spots where they can see the beautiful fall colors in orange, red and yellow. The typical Japanese maple leaf, very, very famous, very beautiful. You will have a lot of people traveling for that, taking pictures and enjoying the nature in there. Temperatures are generally much colder than in like late summer and early fall, so you will have maybe 15, 10, 20 degrees, sometimes even less depending on which region you go to. But yeah, it's still very beautiful. We were in Japan during the fall 2 years ago, and the autumn colors were really, really superb, really beautiful, but again, you still have a lot of crowds everywhere. For example, I went to Kawaguchiko, which is kind of a very popular spot around Mount Fuji, and you just had a ton of people there just because the fall colors are really famous with Mount Fuji in the backdrop. But yeah, just something to prepare for if you are thinking about traveling in fall. I said that fall only has two seasons, but kind of you still have this period between like early December and New Year. I wouldn't say that that's necessarily winter because it's not really that cold yet in Japan. But yeah, there's not really a lot going on. You have Christmas, but Christmas in Japan is kind of boring. Like, there's not a lot going on. If you can watch our Christmas adventures up here or up here. We didn't really do much. We ate KFC, so yeah, that's as much as it goes. And just kind of things start kind of dying down and dialing down for the New Year period, which is a period where nothing is really going on between like December 31st and I think January 3rd or something. A lot of stores are closed down. People generally spend time with their family, kind of like Christmas period in the West. And then lastly, let's take a look at winter. So winter is probably my least favorite period in Japan, because it's cold, kind of barren, you don't have a lot of green stuff going on, and it's just boring. So you don't really have that much to do, especially if you are in Kanto or like more warmer areas, because you don't really get snow even here. Like we got snow 2 days, I think, and one of those days was actually in spring, late spring already. So during winter we had 1 day of snow. That's not really a lot going on, otherwise it's just cold. But you also have, on the other hand, the really good advantage of that, which is much fewer crowds. So I think the period of January, February is just the fewest people that come to Japan, outside of Chinese New Year obviously. But other than that, fewest crowds that come to Japan, and also few people that travel nationally. However, if you want to go skiing or if you want to go see some snow, then it might get very busy from that, because a lot of people from outside of Japan come for really popular skiing spots. Never been personally, so I don't know what exactly it is like, but I heard a lot of Australians and also some Southeast Asians come to Japan to go skiing. Yeah, once February is over, that's when we get to spring again. I think that finishes the circle. So let's try to find a verdict. What is the best period to travel in Japan? If you're looking for few crowds, temperate weather, just kind of general sightseeing, I would recommend May, side of the Golden Week period, just because it's warm, you have few crowds, and the weather is really nice. September and October are also really nice, just because it's kind of the same applies. You will still have really warm temperatures, but you have few crowds. If you really want to avoid crowds, then come in January and February, but just prepare for colder weather and just kind of a general kind of downness. But if you want the most things to do, I would recommend coming in summer, because you got beaches, you have fireworks, you have festivals. It's very hot. It's a really good period. But again, if you are not kind of used to the temperature, maybe consider coming in late summer. Might be a better period. As far as the most beautiful periods, you obviously have the sakura season in spring and the autumn colors, which I would say both of them are worth it. It's just that you will have to deal with crowds. So if you don't like doing that, then maybe consider coming in other periods. But if you want to really see sakura and autumn colors, then I would say March and November are good. So yeah, that was a quick overview of what you can expect to find kind of in each season in Japan if you are considering traveling. I hope this video kind of helped you maybe make a decision on, or maybe help make a decision on which period to travel to in Japan. And yeah, if you enjoyed this kind of content, please subscribe if you haven't yet. And as always, there's a travel map down below where you can see some interesting Japan spots. If you want to see an explanation again, a link up here. And yeah, with that said, that's going to be it for today, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.